Okay, Kensington Knights, just want to give you a preview of what your notebook should look like. Don't forget to put your page number. Don't forget to put the topic. And look who remembered to put her date on her paper. Here's your I can statement. I can read around unknown words or phrases to figure out its meaning and context. And this is the I do that I have completed for you as a model. So when authors use words or phrases that we are not familiar with, we have some strategies that we can use to help us out. We need to stop and think. And again, we can read forward or we can go back and reread. We can look at the word parts and we can substitute and check. Now, this sounds an awful lot like the lesson that we talked about yesterday. However, it is vastly different, as you can see with the example that I have provided. We're going to scooch on over to the teaching slides. Okay, so tackling unknown words and phrases. So when we think about the passage or a part of the passage, snow, in Home of the Brave, we come across the words, I don't understand his words, but I can hear that he doesn't love cattle as I do. I feel sorry for him, and I twist in my seat. The don't move belt across my chest. Oh. The don't move belt across my chest pulls back. So the don't move belt, that's weird. That's not really what we say in English. And so this is one of those clues that Keck is speaking English as a second language. And the author uses phrases like this that are unfamiliar to us. So if we're reading a book expecting Keck to be very much like we are, when we come across phrases like this, it's going to throw us for a loop. I remember the first time I read the book, I really felt lost because he kept talking about this flying boat. And I'm like, boats don't fly. What is he talking about? And then I would get frustrated and I would get disinterested in the book. And everybody kept telling me what a great book it was. And I was like, I don't see it. I don't see it because there's flying boats and I don't understand what's going on with him and why his hands are like sticks. And I mean, it's just everything is just strange and otherworldly to me as I read that book. When I got deeper into it and I realized that he was from the Sudan, my interest peaked immediately because I had actually met uh, they were they were called the Lost Boys. But I had actually met some of the guys that went through exactly what Keck and his family did. And so I was like, okay, now that I get that this is like English as a second language to him, and he's using the best words that he knows how in order to explain what's going on. I said, I got to start all over again. So I chose to reread. Not only did I choose to reread, but I chose to go back to the beginning, but I was only on like the fifth poem. So it wasn't that bad. In this situation, we don't have word parts, but we can use that reading around the word, reading before the phrase, reading after the phrase, thinking about what's going on. And so you see the thought bubble, it says, again, I know they're riding in a car, so the don't move belt must be the don't move belt that is across his chest must be the seat belt. And that wasn't a big stretch. But the flying boat really threw me for a loop when I didn't understand what the story was about. And so sometimes unusual phrasing and wording can be the thing that keeps us from being able to enjoy a book. But if you just stick with it and you get to that part where everything starts to come together and all the clues are starting to make sense, you'll find out that that book can wind up being one of your most treasured possessions. I absolutely love Home of the Brave because I love the journey that Keck takes me on every time I read that book. Okay, and so here is another example. Okay, so did you not see her, the brave cow in the snow? Dave glances in the looking back glass. Cow? Oh, yeah, that used to be a big farm. A lot of land around here's getting sold off now, but the farmer's hanging on. So remember, read forward or reread. Use word parts. Substitute and check. So as I think about the looking back glass, I think, they're in the car. He's got the seatbelt across his chest. Now, who's doing the actual looking around? It says Dave glances in the looking back glass. Well, I know that Dave is the driver, okay? And I know that a looking back glass could be a mirror, but because he's driving, I'm thinking it's a special kind of mirror, like maybe the rear view mirror. So that's pretty much what my thinking was down here is that, okay, we've got to look at who's doing the action. We've got to look at what this strange phrase might mean. Okay, then we have to kind of piece it all together and do a substitute check. Did you not see her, the brave cow in the snow? Dave glances in the rear view mirror. Cow? Oh, yeah, that used to be a big farm. A lot of land around here is getting sold off now. But that farmer's hanging on. That makes sense. So my guess must be correct that it is the rear view. And that, my friends, is how you look at phrases that are unknown to you to try and figure out what they mean in the context of the story. So now it is time for you to meet me. Where'd we go? It is time for you to meet me in the live instruction where we're going to look at phrases, we're going to figure out what their meaning is, and talk about the clues. To the live session is do a stop and jot in box 3, jotting down your thoughts about your choice book. You'll want to make sure that you're looking for unusual phrases in your reading. It may be figurative language, it may be a metaphor, it may be a simile or personification. Those would all be great examples. What you could choose to explain in your box 3 for your UDO. I hope you've gained some wisdom about how to handle those difficult words and phrases. All right, Kensington Knights, see you in teams.